Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life.
Welcome back to another episode of Next to Madison. On today's episode, we're talking one of my favorite subjects, which is cryptocurrency. We actually have someone from cryptonews.com that is going to join us and is going to talk about his new company called CIO, which helps you do your seed words so you can keep those secure because you're going to need those for your accounts. He's also going to talk about how to identify certain coins that could be the next big mover and shaker, along with things going on at Crypto News. And we're also going to talk about wallets and why they're important to have and which ones are best and kind of how you can go ahead and set that up. So if you're looking to make some money, this episode's for you. So I don't know anyone who wouldn't want to listen to this episode. It's going to be amazing. Episode 139 of the Next to Madison podcast. And I'm going to stop talking so we can come back after this brief break with our guests. So stay tuned. All right. Welcome back. I am with our guest, Rich Levine. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us to talk about crypto. This is one of my favorite subjects. There's so much to learn and people are getting successful and not being held back in life through cryptocurrency. And that's one of the things I just love about it. But you got to educate yourself. That's the biggest thing.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
You're with Crypto News. So tell us about what you guys are doing over there and what kind of information they can get if they subscribe.
Sure. So Crypto News has been around a few years now. We're probably the 7th or 8th largest crypto news organization in the world. We're in 12 languages currently. I mean, we have everything from Arabic, Chinese, Spanish, Turkish, you name it, we have it. And we're always expanding on the language front. But, we cover everything as far as crypto. So anything that's breaking news in, Bitcoin, ETH, DeFi, NFTs, we're covering it. We have an unbelievable team that we've put together. We've recently launched a podcast, which has been very successful. You can find that on, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anything like that. We have a daily newsletter that goes out Monday through Friday that'll just kind of bring you up to speed on what's happening in the crypto space. And as you know, this space is moving extremely fast. If you take a week or 2 weeks or a month off in crypto, you're way behind the 8 ball. So, it's a really good way for people to stay in the loop, so to speak. And you can find us at cryptonews.com. So, if your listeners want to head over and subscribe to the newsletter, that's probably a great place to start.
And that's great because there's other financial newsletters, like I'm sure you've heard of the Motley Fool.
Of course.
And they talk about both, but I never know when I'm reading that if the information is like legit. Like I haven't gotten to a point where I would trade on the information yet. Yeah.
So that's one of the things that, with crypto being such an exploding and an emerging, marketplace, and asset class, there's a ton of fake news or false news out there. So, we go really above and beyond to vet all of our information. Our journalists and our team of journalists that we use for freelance, we've vetted thoroughly and, they're really good guys and it's a really solid team. And if we think anything is, fishy or off at all, we do a deep dive into it to make sure. So, you can trust that everything you're reading on cryptonews.com, is legitimate and, up to speed and up to snuff, so to speak.
And so do you guys talk about like up and coming altcoins and NFTs and things of that sort?
Sure. We cover everything, right? So, a good thing that's, you could read up on right now is our crypto 2022 forecast. So we're kind of, telling you what's up and coming and, what we're looking at, and you can find that right on the website. But yeah, look, we're covering everything from Bitcoin to Ether to new altcoins, new DeFi protocols, new NFT protocols, borrowing and lending, anything. We really run the gamut and we're covering everything. So yeah, we're constantly looking at new protocols and new tokens that are coming out and checking them out and vetting them for our readers. So you can absolutely find all of that alpha on cryptonews.com.
Awesome. And so how does one identify up and coming altcoin?
So there's a lot of different ways that we do that, right? We're kind of tied in through the PR wire. So, if this new protocol is launching, sometimes they'll reach out to us, or a lot of the big agencies will reach out to us and say, hey, this new token or this new protocol is about to launch. You guys should check it out. And then we do as best we can as far as due diligence and try to contact the team. We'll reach out to developers who are working on it. As far as crypto goes, there's a couple different kinds of projects, but either the project is doxed or it's not. So if the developers are doxed, that means we know who they are and we know what they're up to, and we can kind of look at and see what they've done in the past and kind of dig into it that way. But there's a lot of projects right now that are completely anonymous, so we really have to just kind of dig through the GitHub, or try to talk to whatever developers we can to make sure that the project is good. But we've gotten pretty good at sniffing out what's BS and what's legit. So you can rest assured that if you're reading it on our website, it's probably good.
Okay, interesting. And so what are your thoughts on, and I know you and I have spoken a little bit off the record on this, of Cardano? Because I felt like this time last year, Cardano was hot. Everybody was getting in on it. They had a great staking platform. They had their own wallets, and now Charles is starting to take a lot of heat.
Right. So, it's interesting because, when I talk to people in the space, it kind of falls into two camps, right? There's the retail investors who are, learning about this space through YouTube and TikTok and, through word of mouth and some meetups. And then there are the people who actually work in the space full time, they're developers or they're full-time investors. And, those two camps sometimes can be completely disconnected. And Cardano is a perfect example of that, right? So when I'm looking at protocols and I'm talking to people within the space, it's all about who's building it and what are they building and are people using it? And so that's always like the top questions, right? Let's use Solana as an example, right? Solana is a super fast L1. And when you talk to people who work in crypto or who are developing in crypto, all of them have used the network, right? They're buying NFTs on Solana. They're using Solana for DeFi. They're just transacting on the network, whether it's moving, funds or Sol or Serum or whatever it is, from this wallet to a Phantom wallet or to Solana wallet. Everybody's actually got their fingers in it and they're playing with it and they're using it, right? And that's a huge sign for the people inside. There's, people are using this and it works. And me personally, I've used it. I play with it and I'm, have my fingers in it, so to speak, all the time. But then when you have a token like Cardano, which has been around for years now, a lot of us who have been around in the space, owned it a long time ago when it was very cheap, and some of us have dumped it off and some of us have kept it. But the one thing that I and a lot of the people who actually work in the space haven't done is actually used it. I don't personally know anybody who's really using the Cardano network on a daily basis or transacting on it. And yes, you can stake it, and you can do that with a lot of protocols and tokens now, just because it's crypto and people are willing to lend money on almost anything. But the thing with Cardano is there's a lot of hype behind it, and just not a lot of use case yet. Now, look, that may change. All of a sudden, people may start trading on Cardano and doing DeFi and this and that, but it codes in Haskell. A lot of the developers don't love it. And Charles is a good talker. He gets up there and he's got a good channel and he's got a good audience. But the one thing I do realize is I talk to a lot of retail players who have big bags of Cardano. And I always say to them, are you using it? Have you transacted on it? Are you doing anything? And a lot of the times the answer is no. And then we've seen, as this kind of bull run has happened over the past, few months or year, Cardano had a big pump, but then it's been kind of stagnant. And, the inside joke within the crypto community is that it's like a stable coin, right? If you need to park your money and you don't want, a lot of volatility, just throw it in Cardano because it's not doing anything. So,
right.
Look, the reality is that, Cardano may pop, there may be a lot of action, but at this time, I'm not seeing a ton of action. I see a lot of talk and a lot of hype, but, we'll see. I'm not sure yet.
Okay, there was a new coin that our mutual friend threw my way. What do you think of the Floki coin? And Elon recently did a tweet with the dog.
Yeah.
It's a meme coin, but what do you think?
It's a meme coin, and I always tell people, I get asked this all the time, where can I throw $1,000 and turn it into $1 million, or,
Of course.
whatever it is. And the meme coins, sure. You hear these stories of people just getting insane gains on these meme coins, but the reality is that 9 out of 10 times it's not going to happen for you. You have to be really lucky with a lot of these meme coins, or be on the inside. And the trick sometimes isn't, knowing when to buy, it's really knowing when to sell. So it's extremely hard unless you're inside the loop on some of these coins. And my suggestion to people is, unless you really want to stomach insane volatility and potentially lose a ton of money, you're better to just park that money in safer tokens. I'm always telling people, just stick to the basics here. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Matic, Polkadot. Stay away from the memes if you can. Stay away from the Doge coins and the Flokies. I mean, I even stay away from, I would say, XRP and Litecoin and even Cardano. I think it's important that you stick to the fundamentals, look at the developers, look at the projects, what are they building, and are people in the crypto space actually using it? Not just kids who are on Binance, hoping for a dream, actually people building and working. And if you follow those tokens, you can make a lot of money in this space.
Oh, absolutely. My sister-in-law will play the lottery a lot. She just likes it, but she only will play like $5 or $10. Nothing. It's like fun money. It's like a joke, right? So every time there's a big thing. And I said to her, because on Christmas Eve on the way to dinner, we had stopped by the gas station to get $5 worth of lottery tickets. And I said, every time you wanted to play the lottery, if you just like put $5 into some like shit coin or some crypto, you're more like you've just increased your chances of becoming a millionaire versus this lottery. So like,
I agree with you on that.
Lottery, like you're losing 100%. Your money. Yeah, you're losing your money anyway. So you might as well like shove it into a Floki or a Shibu or a.
Totally. Look, if you want to gamble and throw money into the lottery, you're way better off buying meme coins. If you just spread it out across all the meme coins, whatever it is, $100 on each one, you could hedge there, and odds are something will pop. So yeah, you could definitely, hit something. If you're a gambler, the meme coins are a ton of fun, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Because and she was like, no, you're probably totally right. Because I'm like, the odds of you winning that lottery is, what do you have, a better chance of getting struck by lightning and eaten by a shark, I think?
Something like that. You're right. But those meme coins, people hit on those all the time. So you're absolutely right. You should definitely, if you're going to throw $5-10, every day on the lottery, you might as well just throw it into Binance or some meme coins and just see what happens.
Well, that's exactly right. So I think, that is the safer lottery. You've increased your odds, which is the best way to go. All right, now I want to switch. I want to get your input on a different crypto, the one where our mutual connection, Scaramucci's involved, which is Algorand. I picked up some Algorand. I texted him and said, oh, I bought this, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, great. Da, da, da. I know it's a DeFi type platform blockchain, but I don't know much more and like what its potential could be. What is your thoughts on Algo?
I haven't done a complete deep dive into Algo, but I do own a bag of Algo, and I think it's a great project. The developers and the people using it are outstanding. So I know that the team behind Algo is fantastic. I know that as far as a chain goes, it's being used for a lot of different protocols as well. And I believe that even maybe it's the Chivo Lightning network for Bitcoin is even running on Algo. So, as far as it being a legit platform and a legit token, absolutely. It's even for me, who's in the space all the time, it's so hard to keep up with everything.
Oh my God.
Algo's a perfect example. I haven't even done a massive deep dive into it, but I certainly own some of it. And, I think that the team working on it is fantastic. So yes, I think that's a good token to hold. Absolutely.
And what do you think, like when you see like Solana, for example, right? In August, I think that thing was around $30. And then it just fucking took off to the moon. What caused that, and why aren't other coins moving as fast as Solana did?
So there's a couple of reasons why tokens will do that. I mean, sometimes it's that they're waiting on specific projects or the underlying foundation to be completed. So let's say, for each of these L1s, so let's talk about like all together, like Solana, Avalanche, Phantom, all of these good L1s where the transactions are extremely cheap, right? The token has a solid team behind it, right? So like for Solana, I think it's Raj and those guys, they're an amazing team. And then all of the other pieces are falling into place. So for Solana, you can do NFTs on Solana extremely cheap. So, now it's waiting to build out the platforms to trade NFTs, and all of that happened pretty quick, right? And then DeFi is another huge piece of the puzzle, especially on these new L1s, right? Because with Ethereum, if you're new to crypto and you want to play in decentralized finance, DeFi, and you're not playing with a ton of money, it can be very expensive to transact. So at the moment, Ethereum is kind of broken for that. Even if you're buying NFTs on OpenSea, it's just not, economical to do that. If you're buying $100 NFT, but the gas fee is $150, I mean, you're going to come into this space and go, whoa, 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 this doesn't make sense. However, if you want to do it on Solana, the fee can be a fraction of a penny or even cheaper. So when all of the underlying foundation gets built, so now you can do NFTs. There's a marketplace for that, right? There's wallets, the Phantom wallet or the Solid. And then there's DeFi protocols that are being built. So you can borrow and lend. There's automated market makers and there's liquidity within that market. All of those things start happening and a token will really start to rocket ship like that. And we saw that really big recently with Solana and Avalanche and Phantom. So I think the trick is when you're interested in getting into these tokens that are going to explode is to stay in the loop, right? Find some of these new up and comers and then check out what people are building around them. And that's pretty easy to do. There's a ton of people creating content. So you can go on YouTube and watch, the videos on, what is the Uniswap of Solana or the Uniswap of Avalanche, right? And people will explain all of this stuff and what's being built and when it's coming out. And then, you can make decisions based on all of that alpha, right? So I guess the quick answer is a lot of DYOR, do your own research and just start digging into a lot of these protocols and seeing what other people are building. And then once you see that ecosystem start to really come together, it's very easy at that point to say, all right, this project really has legs to it and I'm going to get on board.
Absolutely. When do you think we're going to see financial advisors in the crypto space? Because usually you would just give your money to an advisor and they would take care of all that research and you could just focus on making money. When do you think we're going to see that?
I think it's going to be happening pretty soon. I think that 2022 will be a massive year for crypto. Right now we're in this like sprint stage where things are just happening so fast. I mean, if you look back to the beginning of COVID, which is kind of when the bull market really started to take off for crypto, and to where we are now, it's like two totally different worlds. And I think that the financial advisors are going to come into this space relatively quickly from here, just because there's a massive need for that. Mm-hmm. And the reason that we haven't seen it so much, in the last year or two is that, in the traditional markets, for these financial advisors, when you walk in and say, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that, and then you say to them, hey, I want to be invested in Bitcoin or crypto, those financial advisors, it's not really a huge benefit for them to sell crypto because they don't make a lot of money on that, number one. Number two, there's a lot of risk for them. If the market tanks and there's a lot of volatility, they don't want to be picking up the phone every 20 minutes when there's a 20% shakeout and have to explain to their clients, it's fine, it's crypto, this happens, yada, yada. But I think most of all, it's that, these guys are kind of set in their ways. They've been doing traditional finance for so long. They make great broker fees and they don't really want to mess with that. And, for them to have to educate themselves on crypto, that's a whole nother rabbit hole they have to jump through. And, I think that as crypto continues to grow at this speed, you're going to see a lot of these financial advisors pop up that are into crypto, and you're probably going to see a lot of firms that specialize in crypto. But the fact is that, crypto is not going anywhere, right? Every day I'm getting calls from family, friends, or acquaintances who are asking me, how do I buy Bitcoin? And can you walk me through this and walk me through that? And it's just getting more and more So I'm quite confident that crypto's not going anywhere.
Nope.
It's here to stay, and that financial advisors will absolutely swarm into this space very soon.
And what would be your or your thoughts around keeping the government out of crypto? Because they're just going to ruin it. Everything the government touches, they seem to destroy.
I know. It's
So
a touchy subject because I certainly don't want them in my pocket and regulating things either. But that being said, there's just no way around it. They're going to come in, they're going to regulate because, the truth is that this space is, as well, it's fun and exciting. It's a dangerous space for new people. And, you don't want to come into this space and dump $100,000 onto some platform and all of a sudden they rug it and, it goes to zero. And then, there's no phone number you can call. There's no 800 number for Bitcoin. There's no, this is decentralized. You become your own bank and you're taking, responsibility for your own finances in the crypto world. And I think that is a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. So I think it's just unfortunate reality that the government is going to come in and they are going to regulate to an extent. And they want their cut, right? They're seeing everybody make all this money.
Yeah.
They want their piece of the pie, taxes. It's so hard right now. It's like the wild, wild west, but they are aware that everybody's getting rich very fast and they do want their piece of the pie. So I'm not sure how we'll keep the government really out of crypto. I think the best thing that we can hope for is that they'll allow us to work together so that it's not a total shit show. I know that like Ryan Selkis and the team at Masari, they've been very active in inviting Gensler to sit down and the SEC. And, we've constantly been reaching out to bureaucrats and agencies and say, listen, give us guidelines, help us, help you regulate. And none of them are really willing to do that. Only recently have we seen, a little bit of a shift there where, Congress is starting to open up a little bit and more congressional leaders are starting to say, okay, we understand that crypto's here and we're kind of willing to work with you a little bit, but yeah, unfortunately, there's just no way to keep them out of it. So the best we can hope for is that we can work together, amicably.
Yeah, exactly. But you just don't want all the rules that are placed on other people, like the whole accredited investors argument thing.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
It's not fair. It's like the rich can just get richer, but you're keeping these people down and saying, oh, you're not smart enough to do this. That's where I think people had issues. They're like, no. Give everybody an equal playing field and let them take the risk.
That's absolutely ridiculous. You're absolutely correct. And the other thing that's really hard to swallow is I visit a lot of websites in the crypto space, and the second I log on, it says, unfortunately, you can't use this platform. If you're a citizen of, and it will say North Korea, Cuba, Saudi Arabia, or the United States, you can't use this platform. It's like, what are we doing? All of Europe can use it. All of the Western world can use it, but the US can't because of all this regulation. So people are kind of skirting this and that, or, considering moving out of the US. I mean, even new crypto protocols that are building, when it comes time to incorporate or really file paperwork, a lot of them will leave the US to do it because they don't want to deal with the BS regulation or the lack of regulation. Nobody knows what's going on. So I think that it's important that the United States doesn't stifle innovation and they allow us to build and because it's really unfortunate that, we can't use a lot of these protocols. They won't even let us play with it or experiment with it, because they're protecting us.
Yeah.
The truth is it's all bullshit, It's like the SEC and Gensler just don't want us to have access to all the stuff that, everybody else has access to. They're really, you're right, with the accredited investor stuff, it's all bullshit. So
exactly. A lot from what I kind of see on Twitter, he's like, people are saying he's the enemy of the people.
Yeah, he is. And the worst part is that, he just will not sit down with us and discuss, it would be one thing.
Because he's hiding something and he knows that his tricks will probably get out.
Right. Well, there's a whole world of, super wealthy and kind of this old money that really is kind of insulated and protected. And Gensler's part of that system that protects that money and insulates it. But, like we said, crypto's not going anywhere. This space is growing so fast. you know, it's bound to happen. So the best thing that Gensler could do is really just sit down with us who are building in this space and let's work on this together. I mean, he really has become kind of an enemy of crypto, and crypto is not a space you want to become an enemy of.
No, absolutely not. And I just love when the politicians are like, we need to help the people. Well, you don't help them by giving them shit that you've already taken from them, aka high tax rates. You
Right.
help them by having more financial education and letting them take the risk.
Absolutely.
Not assuming
You're
that
absolutely
everybody's
right.
stupid, because we just assume you're stupid. The
Yeah,
politicians, I mean, they're all,
of course.
and it's
Yeah.
like, how are
And
you getting
things,
so rich? You're a public servant. How's that happening?
right. Exactly. Things are changing so fast right now too that it's like, you know, I get that they can't keep up. I mean, I can barely keep up, but at the same time, we cannot stifle innovation like this, right? We have to have the same opportunities that all these other countries are having and build in this space. We
Yeah.
cannot afford to be behind on crypto.
No, exactly. And it's still true, right? We can't, as United States citizens, we can't buy ICOs, which are initial coin offerings.
That is correct at this time. Yep.
And
And I mean,
why do you
even in
think that
the,
is?
you know, I think it's again because there's a lot of kind of question as to what is a security, you know, and really when you're buying an ICO, it's you're buying equity in that company. So technically that's a security. And then, you know, so you fall under the laws of the SEC and the securities regulation. And it's a huge headache. It really is. But you know, as we're seeing, you know, there's a ton of this already going on, and there's a how do you stop an airdrop that's coming out of, you know, China or Malta, right? You can't regulate the internet like this. So all of these, you know, airdrops and you know, dexes, which are decentralized exchanges, and VPNs. I mean, it's impossible to completely regulate this space. But, you know, as far as the ICOs go, I think that, you know, there's just a lot of kind of gray area here as to what's a security and what's not. But even beyond that, you know, in the U.S., you can't even trade, you know, with leverage or futures unless you're doing it, you know, through all these regulated platforms. And you know, they're really, again, it's just zero kind of, you know, working together here. We just need to all get on the same page.
Right. But here's the thing, like, even if they do allow ICOs in the future, right? Or in the next like year, have you ever gotten your hands on an IPO?
You know, I have, but it's been a long time, and I actually don't even play in the regular stock market anymore at all.
But you really don't get IPOs. It's handed out to all their friends.
Right.
Like,
Oh,
again,
of course. Yeah. Right. You have to be
you're not even
accredited, or you
included.
have to buy it through an accredited, you know. Oh, yeah, of course. It's a
It's
huge
like
pain
the
in the ass.
pre-sale to all their super wealthy clients that Goldman and all these other banks are doing.
Yeah.
So it's fucking fraud, to be
It's
quite
a
frank.
total scam. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's a total
So if
scam.
they did that with the ICOs, then it's like you're playing the same effing game versus
Right.
just letting it like, hey, this is the risk. Like, there's a risk when you cross the street. What are we going to do? Try to hold everybody's hand every time they do make a move? I mean, this is crazy.
Exactly. And that's why, like right now, I mean, if you want to participate in ICOs or, you know, in some of these tokens, because that's essentially what these are, you know, there are a zillion ways to do it right now anyway. You know, you can use decentralized exchanges and VPNs. But yes, if you're just like a normal person who doesn't understand crypto fully, or you're just getting into the space, it's very difficult. They don't make it easy. And, you know, you have to jump through hoops to kind of figure it all out. And that shouldn't be the case. It should be, you know, kind of an equal opportunity for everybody, which is kind of one of the mottos of crypto, right? It's banking the unbanked. It's allowing everybody to participate in the global financial system.
Yeah. They don't
And
like
the
it because
federal
it's
government,
allowing people to get rich, and they don't want that
exactly,
because then they're not
absolutely,
dependent on them, you know?
right. They want full control.
Exactly. And that's why I love crypto, and I love the whole mindset and lifestyle behind it, because it's more like small government, you know? Like,
Absolutely. That's
keep
why,
our,
you know,
keep
there's
our
a,
peace and back the fuck off.
exactly. There's a lot of libertarian values and views, you know,
Yeah.
that coexist in this space. And you know, it's one of the things that I love about crypto is that you can be completely sovereign. I mean, you know, if you need to, you can take your crypto on, you know, a thumb drive or a ledger, whatever you have, and kind of just bounce, and that's it. You know, you have control. You know, they can't shut down your ledger, right? They can't take your seed phrase from you or your private key,
Yeah.
you know, that's yours. And, you know, it says a lot about the space and what it does and what it provides for people.
No, absolutely. Especially, you know, I think you and I had this conversation like in Russia where the Putin will tell the oligarchs like when they can have money and when they can't. So sometimes they have to do these crazy things, and now they could just shove a thumb drive up their anus and leave the country.
They could. It's
Just
so easy now.
Not visual.
Right. I get it. I get you. You're right. I mean, it's unbelievable that you can, you know, before it would be so difficult to move, you know, $1 billion worth of gold or even cash. I mean, logistically speaking, you know, getting it gold or cash out of the country in large volumes is difficult. It's bulky. It's huge. You know, you have to pay off this guy and that guy every step of the way just to move it around. And now with crypto, you could literally just be like, whoop, everything I have is right here, and off you go.
All right, so let's talk about those wallets, because I think some people don't understand them or they get a little overwhelmed with everything going on. So usually what people do is they'll go to maybe an exchange like a Coinbase or a Binance, and they'll buy it, and sometimes they end up just leaving it on that exchange, or they'll go to a DeFi bank and earn on it, right? But most of it is sitting on this exchange, which is kind of, it's not really yours if you don't have full possession of it.
Right. So that's another huge phrase in crypto is, you know, not your keys, not your coin.
Yeah.
So essentially, you're right. I mean, if you keep your crypto on an exchange, then really that exchange owns the crypto. You know, you don't really own it. If the, you know, if the shit hit the proverbial fan, so to speak, and that exchange just disappeared overnight, you really have no recourse there, which is why it's so important to be self-sovereign in crypto and to actually take your crypto off of the exchanges and do self-custody. I think it's one of the most important parts of crypto, and you know, especially like, you know, with the Bitcoiners, and it's very easy to do. It's very easy to get set up on this. You know, it's as easy as buying a hardware wallet and, you know, literally setting it up and then removing your crypto from the exchange onto your hardware wallet. And now you have, you know, you're sovereign. You have your crypto. You have complete control of all your funds.
Okay, so let's go back and walk people through. Let's say they've never kind of heard of these wallets. What are some of the best, if somebody has never had a hardware wallet, what wallet would you recommend that they get? Okay.
So yeah, we'll start at the beginning here. There's two wallets that I use on a regular basis and that I trust, you know, the most in this space. Well, there's really three, but, you know, Cold Card is another one, but that's just for Bitcoin. But let's just talk in general right now. So that would be Ledger and Trezor. They're two different companies, Ledger and Trezor, and each one has a couple different offerings. But if you buy a Ledger wallet or a Trezor wallet, you're in good shape. So the first step in this case would be either to log on to Ledger or to Trezor's website and order directly from those websites, right? You don't want to buy it ever, you know, used or from a third party. eBay is a big no-no. You don't even want somebody to give you one. You want the chain of custody to be from Ledger or Trezor to your mailbox. You open the device yourself and set it up. So the next step would be, let's say you get this thing in the mail, right? It's really important that when you set up a hardware wallet, that you do it by yourself, right? You don't want anybody who's like a crypto savvy person to sit there and help you. You don't really want anybody prying onto your setup here, because what's going to happen is it's going to give you a seed phrase, which is essentially your private key. It's the private key gives you the ability to move those funds once they're on your wallet. So that private key is everything. And in most cases, it's transcribed into 24 words. That's why you'll hear the word seed phrase quite often in crypto. And it's either 12 or 24 words for the most part, but usually 24. And when you set that up, you're actually going to write down those 24 words. And the reason that you do that is because if your hardware wallet gets destroyed or it breaks or it gets stolen, anything like that, you can always recover your crypto with those 24 words.
On like the Ledger website?
No, you would need to get a new device, and I'll walk you through kind of how that works.
Okay,
so when you set up a crypto wallet, a lot of people actually think that you're putting let's use Bitcoin in this case, you're putting the Bitcoin onto that wallet, but you're not. What the device is doing is it's saving your passphrase or your private key, your seed phrase, onto a secure device. Now, your crypto will always live on the blockchain. It's never going to leave the blockchain and be on your wallet, but the access is here. The seed phrase is here. So if your wallet gets destroyed, broken, anything like that, you can literally just buy a brand new wallet from, let's use Ledger in this case. You buy a brand new Ledger, you broke your other one, you have your 24 words, or you lost it, whatever. It's password protected, so no one's going to just get into it. But you buy a new one, and it will say, would you like to set up a new wallet or restore an existing wallet? You'll click restore an existing wallet. You take your 24 words, you go through the process, you put them in, and all of your Bitcoin reappears on the new wallet, right?
Unbelievable.
Amazing.
Right.
Yeah, right. So, and again, you could do the same thing. You could then, at that point, snap it in half, the wallet, and throw it away and buy another Ledger wallet and set it back up, and all the crypto comes right back. You could continue to do this. That's why those 24 words are so important. That really is the key to everything. And that's why you need to protect it, you know, like you would protect all of your wealth.
Yes. And after you walk us through the whole wallet thing, we're going to get into that because you have a new company about the seed phrases.
Right.
So let's go to step. So you get the wallet. It has instructions on how to set it up, correct?
Right.
So are you plugging it in like a USB?
Yeah, I mean, it has it looks like a USB, and it has a little cable that goes to your computer, but the trick is these are air gapped. So that means that your device actually doesn't go on the internet. There's a gap between the internet and your device, and that's so that nobody can hack into your computer and then read your private key off of your device. I mean, they're designed specifically like this for your protection.
So how do you get your crypto off an exchange onto your wallet?
So once you set up your device, right, you've gone through the instructions, you've written down your 24 words. As you set it up, it'll give you the 24 words. It'll come with a little card. You'll write them down. It's very important that you don't take a picture of those 24 words, because if you have a picture of it, then there's a digital copy in your phone. And if somebody gets into your phone or into your computer system or into the iCloud and sees a picture of 24 words and they're any kind of crypto savvy, well, now they have your entire net worth in their hands. So that's why, you need to write it down with the pen, and then off to the side it goes. And we'll talk about, some best practices there in Seedsecure. But essentially what happens is, okay, so then your wallet is set up, you have your backup, and now you can play within, the protocol or the app, let's say, or the UX, right? So in Ledger's case, you have it plugged in, and you can set up a new wallet on your device. So let's say in this case it's Bitcoin. So on Ledger's, it's called Ledger Live. You would say, click on Bitcoin, and it will give you an address. And this is your new public address that you can send Bitcoin to. So you would literally, it's as easy as copying the address from Ledger and then going to, let's say your exchange is Coinbase. Mm-hmm. You go to Coinbase and it will say, withdraw Bitcoin, right? And then you paste your Ledger address there. So where's it going? You want to send it to your Ledger, right? So you paste the Ledger address. You confirm it. You can look, you look on Ledger Live, make sure that the address is the same as where you're sending it through Coinbase. And then once you hit send, boom, the money is, the crypto, let's say Bitcoin in this case, is sent from Coinbase to your Ledger wallet, and then it's secure. And that's it. It's so easy. It's literally as easy as copying and pasting the correct address and sending the crypto. And now that's it. It's
so
secure.
then you would go, like for other coins too, you would go into your Ledger Live and hit the coin you want to deposit. Correct. Copy that address and then post and paste it right in. Now, Here's the thing too, because now that I've become more savvy, I'm pumping and dumping some of these.
Right.
Because I've figured them out and I'm like, okay, these ones I know are kind of following this very similar pattern. Why? I'm not going to hold this shit. I want to dump it.
So in that case, you can do a couple of things, but I'll talk about what I do personally. I have what I consider, my hodl bag, right? It's all the Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, whatever the crypto that I am not trading regularly. I'm just holding these. These are long-term investments. This is net worth kind of stuff. And I keep those on specific wallets that I rarely touch.
Okay.
They sit on some ledgers and treasures, and I never, aside from going in to just update the firmware every once in a while and double check everything, I leave them alone. I do, however, also keep, a lot of coins on Coinbase Pro and a couple of other exchanges that I use to trade regularly, right? So, whatever number you're comfortable with, if it's, $10,000, $20,000 that you're okay with that being on the exchange, then you leave that there so that you can move it quite often, because you don't want to have to plug in your ledger every time to just execute some small trades, this and that. But, you treat it like your, like a savings and checking account, right? So if your savings account is your hardware wallet, you don't use it very often. You load it up whenever you want and you kind of hold it. And then, the exchange could be like your checking account, right? You're trading out of that often. You're moving money out of there often. So you keep a chunk in there that you're constantly moving around. You don't want to have to pull out your ledger every time just to make small trades or whatever you're doing. So that's kind of how I work it. I have like a savings and then like a checking, the exchanges where I just move stuff all the time. And there's really no point in putting those onto the hardware wallet.
Okay, so that makes sense. And then what do you think of, so Bitcoin, there's some, like, let's take, for example, BlockFi. It's a DeFi bank.
Right.
If you put your BlockFi or your Ethereum in BlockFi, they pay you.
Right.
Like an annual percentage. I think Bitcoin lately was 4.5 and Ethereum was like 5.
Right.
So, but if you have it on this Ledger wallet, you're not getting paid. So what are kind of the
So here's the way I look at it. I personally don't use BlockFi. Now, I have nothing against BlockFi. I love BlockFi. I know the team there, and I trust BlockFi wholeheartedly. I do. That being said, for me to remove all of my Bitcoin and Ether from my custody and my cold storage and give it to them for 4% is just not worth it to me. Okay. 4% is great, but I trade, and in my trades, I crush 4%. So for me, the peace of mind in having the majority of all the coin that I've earned over the years and kept, having it to myself and knowing that I have the keys, I have control of that, it's worth more than 4% in my head. So I don't use BlockFi to gain interest on my Bitcoin. I would rather just have custody, because I don't want, if the state of New Jersey says to BlockFi, cease and desist and shut it down now and lock up everything. That could happen at any point. I'm not saying it will, but it could. They will do that, and you can't do anything. So to me, having custody of my own coin is the most important thing. And there may be a time where later I just put a little bit on there, for whatever reason. But for the majority of my bags, I want to be in custody of that. So that's the trade-off.
Right. And you mentioned the state of New Jersey. I know that New Jersey was giving BlockFi shit for a while.
Right.
And they might still be. What was their reasoning behind it? Because the regular banks, they can't.
There's so much that goes on. Yeah, I don't know what the specifics were there, but when it comes to borrowing and lending, there's all these little rules and regulations that you have to follow, and crypto's so new. And again, this is one of those things that, I don't know. And, I don't want to be like a guinea pig for this whole thing either. I'd rather wait a while, maybe a couple years down the road. If things change, then I'll be okay with, relinquishing some of my coin to them. And, but for the time being, it's just more important to me to have custody. The other thing with BlockFi is the percentages have been kind of going down. It used to be much higher, 8%, 9%, and then it was 6, 5, 4, again, it just becomes a risk tolerance thing. And is it worth it to you? And for me personally, I just, it's so important that I hold my own keys, and that I'm completely sovereign, so that God forbid I ever just wanted to roll or whatever, that I have control of that coin and I wouldn't have to wait for BlockFi or whatever happens with them has no effect on me. So.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. So what do you think about some of these online wallets? Like Cardano has the Yoroi wallet and Helium has their wallet.
Yeah, and I use those wallets all the time. So I'm big supporters in those. You know, like Phantom Wallet on Solana, I use that. You know, I'm constantly using MetaMask, right, and different networks. I use the Avalanche network all the time on my MetaMask wallet. You know, I'm holding funds in a ton of hot wallets, let's call them,
Yeah.
at all the time. You know, I use Exodus, which is a hot wallet. You know, I keep a lot of funds on Exodus that I need to move around quite regularly. You know, it's not a cold wallet. It's you know, it's a warm wallet, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And I can instantly, you know, go on and send someone some Bitcoin without having to use my ledger. I can be on the go. I mean, I use it on my phone all the time. So I do use all of these wallets, and each one serves a specific purpose. You know, so
Yeah.
in MetaMask, you know, I keep my NFTs in MetaMask. I keep a ton of Ethereum on MetaMask because I'm using that for kind of DeFi stuff. You know, I have Avalanche wallet within that. I have a Phantom wallet within that. You know, Solana wallet. There's so many different
So many.
things, right? Even Harmony. I had to open a Harmony wallet the other day. You know, a lot of these new protocols you end up opening a wallet for, and you know,
Yeah.
keeping track of all of these and kind of what you're doing, it can be a little bit difficult when you get really deep into this, but I use them all the time, and I absolutely trust a lot of these hot wallets. You know, each protocol typically has a wallet that you use to transact within it, especially as we move into this Web3 world where you can literally just connect and then, you know, play right from your browser, right? And whatever you're doing, you're connected to your wallet. And I think that that's really the future of crypto and where things are moving. So I think we really all need to get used to using MetaMask and using hot wallets regularly, because in the future, I think that's really how it'll be. You know, if you need to make a mortgage payment, you can literally pop into MetaMask, go down, boom, made that payment, did it in Ether. Oh, I want to participate in DeFi, boom, right there. Oh, you know, I want to get into this protocol, boom, right there. In the future, everything will happen from Web3. It'll be very easy. So, you know, there's a lot of hype right now. Is Web3 real? Is it not real? Is it all, you know, vaporware? But the truth is, it's real. I mean, I play with it all the time. And if you've used MetaMask ever, if you've ever bought an NFT off of OpenSea, then you're using Web3. That's what it is. And eventually you'll be able to use it for all kinds of things. I think very soon you'll be able to shop with it. You'll be, you know, you could be on, you know, Banana Republic or whatever, and just hit your MetaMask and, you know, check out right through your MetaMask and off you go. So
That'd be amazing.
I think that that's kind of the way we're headed.
So, okay, so the MetaMask thing with OpenSea, let's talk about NFTs, right? Because everybody's talking about them, but not everybody's in them. But there's a lot of NFTs that are hitting the marketplace, right? Some are cash grabs, some have utility. Right. How do you kind of find the ones that are going to launch that are good?
You know, this is the NFT thing is very difficult, right? You know, when Bored Apes launched it, I think 0.08 ETH a piece, and now they're trading for 400 grand. You know,
or more.
Obvious, right? Or more, absolutely. Everybody wants to be in these. I mean, that's the thing. You know, everyone I talk to, what's the next thing? How do you know? And the truth is that you can't. If it was as easy as that, these things wouldn't exist. You have to be on the inside. You have to know somebody. You have to know what's up and coming, and you have to be in this community extremely deep. You need to be on the Discords. You need to be in the Telegram groups. You need to be on Twitter all the time. And it takes a lot of time and effort to really, you know, be completely immersed in this space. And that's the thing, is that if it was as easy as just kind of reading the next report, everyone would do it. So it's just a matter of, you know, finding a community, getting into it, and then, you know, figuring out within these communities, you know, is this a good project? Is this not a good project? And like, you know, really it's digging into these Discord groups. It's really hard to figure out what the next best thing is. And everybody I know who got into Bored Apes and Cool Cats and all of these big NFT projects, for every one Cool Cat or whatever it is they own, they bought 50 other projects that went to zero. So it's a big edge. It's a big game of, you know, who's going to win. and really that's what it is you have to kind of be like a VC on this, right? You invest in a ton of different ones and hope that one of them becomes, a unicorn. But at the same time, sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you just in the right thing and off it goes, and that's amazing. But I think with the NFT thing, it's extremely hard because, when we do hit a bear market in crypto, I think it will be really tough on the NFT market. At least when you have crypto and you have a big bag of some altcoin, there's somebody out there that'll buy it from you. But with NFTs, there's not going to be a lot of liquidity. Every little thing is individual and unique, and you have to find the right niche buyer, and it's going to be pretty brutal if the NFT world goes into a bear market, which, everything does, markets go up and down. So personally, I do play in the NFT world, but I'm a little bit hesitant just because it's really a hard market to navigate unless you're truly on the inside of it.
Yeah, no, it's true, right? So the key is get on the inside.
Exactly, right. You have to, that's the thing about crypto. You have to immerse yourself. You have to be in all the Discords and all the Telegrams and constantly be on Twitter and just constantly trying to suck the alpha out of these platforms.
Exactly. What are some top Discord channels that you think people should join?
I mean, it really depends on what you're looking at, right? So there's a zillion of them for every kind of DeFi protocol, right? So if you're into Avalanche, there's there's NFTs on Avalanche, there's DeFi on Avalanche, same thing with Solana, right?
Yeah.
Phantom. And then as far as the NFTs, I mean, every single NFT has a Discord community too. So whether you're into Bored Apes or Cool Cats or Lazy Lions or Galaxy Eggs, right? Then each one of those has a community, so there's just so many. I mean, when I look at my Discord, Discord gives me a headache sometimes.
I know.
All of the Discords I'm in, I'm in a bunch of trading groups, I'm in a bunch of NFT groups and DeFi groups and upcoming coins. And, there's really no way to kind of just lump them all together. You literally have to just go through all of them. I spend so much time in front of a screen, and it's unfortunate, but it's just the reality of this space is like you have to spend all this time researching and digging in and watching videos and learning who to trust on Twitter and who not to trust and who's a paid shill and who's actually got great alpha. And it takes a long time to navigate that. But, if you're willing to put in the work and the time, the rewards are massive.
Right. They sure are. So when do you think that we'll possibly see a bear market?
It's so hard to tell. It really is. I've heard amazing traders say this time frame, and amazing traders say that time frame, and completely contradict each other. But I think it depends on a lot of macro stuff too, right? We've seen the market tank on news of Evergrande, defaulting on loans in China. We saw the Bitcoin market completely tank March 13th of 2020 because of coronavirus. All of these things have an effect. The stock market's right now just crazy overvalued. Even the crypto space, at multiple trillions of dollars now. Maybe it's overvalued, maybe not. Are the Feds going to increase interest rates? Are they not? Are they going to taper? Are they not? There's so much going on that it's really, really hard to predict, these market cycles. The only thing that I can do is just try to keep a really close eye and hedge my risk accordingly. If I feel like there's, it's time to move to stable coins, then that's what I'll do. And if I think, it's time to go heavy on this token or that token, that's what I'll do. But for the most part, I've had the most success in just, buying assets that I truly believe in and holding them for an extended period of time. I mean, that plan seems to always work. Even in the last bear market for crypto, which I went through, all I did at that point was buy Bitcoin and Ethereum all the time. As the market was continuing to go down, I just kept buying and buying and buying because I had faith that the market will turn around. And when it does, it's the people that buy heavy in the bear market that get rewarded in the bull market. And that's exactly what happened. So if we do go into another bear market, which at some point it will happen, the best thing you can do is just have some dry powder ready to deploy, have cash on hand. So when the market tanks, you can step up and say, all right, I'm buying here. And that's exactly what you do.
Exactly. So in a, wouldn't you at some point, like you haven't sold, like if Bitcoin hits 70 grand, which would be an all-time high, would you sell everything and then buy back in when it dips down to like 60? Because it's going to happen. If it hits 70, it's going back down to 60 at some point. It's just the way it's working.
It's interesting with Bitcoin is the one asset that I really don't do that with. I just continue to buy it. And, when it rips, great. And when it dips, I'll buy more. But I really don't sell a lot of my Bitcoin. There's a couple reasons. The first reason is tax purposes, right? I'm not trying to create taxable events, on
True.
small market moves. And since now almost all the Bitcoin is KYC'd, Coinbase, all these people are going to, report to the IRS. So, if the market's going to move a couple G's, do you really want to have to, file taxes because of it? I would be more interested in opening, perpetual futures contracts and just saying, hey, I'm going to long this or short this, right? If the market tops out at 70, I may short from there, but I'll do it with Tether or cash, in the Bitcoin market, but not settled in Bitcoin. I usually just hold all that off to the side, and I'll trade accordingly within, the derivatives perpetual future market if I want to. That being said, if I do think we're going into a big bear market, then a lot of those altcoins, those I probably would sell. But probably not Bitcoin and Ethereum as much because, odds are those will rebound quite quickly.
Do you
And the
consider
truth is
Solana a altcoin still?
Yeah, to an extent I do. I really only think that the two kings now are Bitcoin and Ether.
Right.
I think that I would consider Solana a blue chip at this point. So I think it's pretty stable and it's not going anywhere, that's for sure. But Solana, Matic, Polkadot, Phantom, Avalanche, these are blue chips. I think that they're very solid buys. The ones I would be worried about that are still up in the top 10 that I wouldn't are like XRP, Litecoin. These coins, I don't even know why they're still up there. I think there's just a ton of bag holders still. But again, if you look at are people using it, the answer is no. I don't know anybody who's regularly using XRP. I don't know anybody who's regularly using Litecoin or trading in Litecoin or doing DeFi or NFTs on Litecoin. I don't know. I don't know why it's still in these top 10.
Okay.
And odds are they'll move with the market, right? If we go into a bull run, sure, you could probably long Litecoin and it will rip, just because. But, I think that every time that these other coins come up, the Solanas and the Avalanches and the Polkadots and Matics, they're going to just keep knocking Litecoin down and down and down. And even in a bull market, I still think that, down they'll go.
Okay, gotcha. All right, and before we wrap up, I want you to talk about, you had mentioned obviously the seed phrases and how important they are, and you're going to get one with the Ledger wallet. So you've started a company, so go ahead and tell us about that.
Right, so I own Seedsecureio, and we make these metal plates out of stainless steel that you can actually like pound or etch your seed phrase into. So when you get a hardware wallet, it comes with a couple pieces of paper. It has 24 slots, and you take a pen and you write it down. But the problem with that is that it's just a piece of paper, right? How easy is it? We all know how easy it is to lose a piece of paper. It gets put in a drawer, or it could get water damaged if you have a small flood, or God forbid your house burns down and you lose your hardware wallet and your paper. Well, that's it. You're done, right? Yeah. So the metal plate, what you do is you literally, there's a couple of options as to how you get your words into it, but we sell you a metal plate that comes to your house. They're $20 shipped anywhere in the US, and it includes an envelope that you put it in and a tamper resistant seal. So, we send it to you blank, and when you set up your wallet, you etch it in, tap it into the metal plate. There's directions online as to how to do that. But then you have it in a piece of steel. And at that point, you take much better care of it, right? You put it somewhere safe that only you know about. And God forbid there's a small fire or your house gets flooded, you know that your crypto is safe, right? So it's just an extra step. And as we've seen with crypto, right, all of a sudden, you may be just putting a little bit of money into Bitcoin here and there, and then that number becomes huge. It could be a very massive chunk of change. So you don't want all of that to be reliant on a little piece of paper, which is why we have Seedsecure. So you can literally go on, it's seedsecure.io.
Okay.
We ship them out all the time. We ship them anywhere in the country, $20 shipped to your door. They're very cheap. And it's just a great way to protect your crypto.
I mean, that's fantastic. So do you want to talk anything about like the magnet and the thing or no?
I mean, that's just another way, sure,
Okay.
to keep them safe or to hide it, because that's the other question is then, so once you have that metal plate, where do you put it, right? Some things that you don't want to do is, you don't want to put it in a safety deposit box. Those are notorious for getting opened by, the wrong person, or the bank closes, you didn't even know at the bank. You do not want to do that. If you Google horror stories of safety deposit boxes, they're all over the place. People who have lost priceless Rolex collections, cash, all kinds of stuff. The bank has
like a case?
At every bank. It's happened at Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase.
Wow.
It happened. Google it. It's a nightmare. So
Okay.
you don't want to keep it in a safety deposit box, right? You also don't really just want to put it in your safe or anywhere that could easily, like if someone breaks into your safe, right, and it's sitting right there, you don't want that. And you also don't want it in the same place as your hardware wallet, right? The two of them need to be completely separate. That way, if your safe got stolen, you would have the backup, right? So the best thing to do is, another trick is you can put a magnet inside the little envelope we give you, and then you can put it, inside a beam in your house, in the basement, unfinished, or inside your safe up in the top, in the ceiling, where somebody, if they opened your safe, got the door open, they wouldn't see your, this thing that's kind of stuck to the top. Or you could put it in a book on the bookshelf and tuck it away, where no one would think to see it, or, in a box of Cheerios in the bottom in your cupboard. Somewhere that nobody would think to look is exactly where you want to keep that metal plate once you have it set up.
Okay, and you're saying don't keep it with your wallet. So are you recommending maybe having like two safes?
You could do that, but I don't even think you need to. I think that you keep your hardware wallet in the safe, right? And then put the seed phrase somewhere else that's not a safe, somewhere that doesn't look like, hey, steal me. Because if you have a small safe and someone breaks into your house, they're going to take it. But if you put it in inside an old copy of Moby Dick on the bookshelf, no one will ever know it's there, right? So that's probably the best way to go. And then you can get even more creative than that. For me personally,
you just have to remember where you put them.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a major part of it. But, as you get more advanced with this, you can start splitting up your seed phrase so that half of your seed phrase is in one place, half of it's in another place, that God forbid somebody found one piece of the puzzle, they wouldn't be able to take your whole thing. And again, when you're first getting into this, it's not as important, but the longer you're in it, and the more your net worth is, and your wealth is grown, you really start thinking about security and how important it is to protect all those Bitcoins and all that Ether and all that stuff you've worked so hard for, because, the space is rife with people who are trying to get your crypto from you. Unfortunately, we hear it all the time about people who have been scammed online, or they didn't take good care of their seed phrase, or they fell victim to a phishing attack or something. So, getting in line with best practices in crypto is extremely important. Talk to people who are in this space. Ask questions. I always say this, ask the questions. If you think it's a stupid question, don't even worry about it. You're protecting your net worth here. Ask people who have been in this space, what's the best way to protect this? What's the best way to protect that? And no matter whatever you do, don't ever give anybody your seed phrase. Whether you think there's support for Trezor or Ledger or MetaMask or a friend or whatever, never, ever give anybody your seed phrase, no matter what.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, and don't take pictures of it. I know I've made that mistake in the past, but I got rid of them, but they could always still live in the cloud.
Exactly. That's the problem with the internet now is forever. If you take a picture of something, it's somewhere in the cloud. And if somebody is interested in getting it from you, and they know who you are and they know what you're up to, people are very savvy, and hackers are very sophisticated these days. You'd be shocked at how easy it is to just get into somebody's computer. So it's just about staying vigilant, taking the extra steps, no shortcuts when it comes to security, no shortcuts.
Right, exactly. And so it is, educating yourself, staying safe, and I know now you know why the baby boomers fucking hate this, because they're like, what?
Of course. Right. It's super confusing. It really is.
I've got to do that. That's why you need a chat. Like if you're somebody who's older or your baby boomer listening to this, make sure your kid is educated in it, because they can help you with this stuff. They'll understand it, or your grandchildren. Your grandchildren.
Exactly. And I think actually TJ and I are putting together a Crypto for Boomers series. So, we're going to do kind of like
perfect idea.
A step-by-step, if you're not, crypto native, so to speak, or, you're not very tech savvy, we're going to do this series. So we're scheduling it now. So I'll keep you posted. But yeah, TJ
you guys
and I are
going to do it online, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a video series.
Perfect.
It's going to kind of do the basics. What is Bitcoin? What is the blockchain? How do you interact with MetaMask? How do you secure a wallet? So yeah, we're doing it. We've been talking about it.
Well, it needs to be done. So do it. I think it's great.
It's happening. Yeah.
Because I manage all my dad's stuff and it's exhausting.
I know. Trust me. I know. Every day I get texts and calls from people who are, even some are my age, a lot of my parents' friends, acquaintances, somebody I've met, they know I work in crypto and I'm in this space, and they're constantly messaging me, how do I do this? Or what did I just do wrong? Did I lose all my crypto? Oh, I think I made a huge mistake. I mean, It's heartbreaking. It really is heartbreaking sometimes to read, some of this stuff and tell people, listen, unfortunately, that's it. It's not coming back.
What did they do wrong? Like, I know when you're transferring, but usually when you're transferring now and you paste it in, it'll give you what it's pasted from.
That's true. But they're already building hacks around that, where once you copy something and you paste it, it pastes a similar address, but it's not your address. There's a zillion different schemes they're doing now. I mean, there's, even online on Twitter, people think they're talking to MetaMask support when they're talking to a scammer. And the social engineering now behind some of these hacks is unbelievable. They'll spend days talking to the same person, building the trust and letting these person believe that, they're from MetaMask or whatever company, until that person finally says, you know what, I trust this guy so much, I'm going to give him the seed phrase. And just like that, they wipe their wallet. But hacking, cloud hacking, I mean, there's so many right now, different ways people are getting scammed. And the truth is that if you're just vigilant and never give your seed phrase up, do not make digital copies, don't take pictures of your seed phrase, all of these best practices, it's only when people become, a little lackadaisical and say, I'm going to just take this shortcut or that shortcut, and it's that easy. So you really just, I always say it, but you just have to stay hyper vigilant and really, really, watch what you're doing.
Well said. I think that was, we got a lot of information in that podcast. That was great. So you guys go to cryptonews.io.com. And then it's Seedsecureio.
You got it. Cryptonews.com, Seedsecureio.
Okay, perfect. And where can they find you on, like, Twitter and all that?
You can find me on, the best place is Twitter. It's Bonjour Bitcoin.
All right. I like it. I'm already following you, so I know that.
I appreciate it.
All right, Rich. Well, thank you so much. And everybody who's listening, wherever you are, I hope you were educated. I hope you were motivated. I hope you learned something. Everything's great. 2022 is going to be a fantastic year. Just believe it. Set your goals high. I don't want any of this. I'm going to lose fucking 10 pounds. How about I'm going to make $10 million? Go for it. The world is yours. Make it 100. I don't give a shit, but just go do something to better your life. All right. We'll see you next time to find out who's next.
Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms, and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@next2madison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.